Yeah, good afternoon. This is Blu Laker at Radio Tribune in Las Vegas, Nevada. Do we ever have a great program for you today? Yes. Now it's about savings, and it's a particularly good way to save, and it's something that we all need, no matter what our age. We need to have health insurance. And as you know, the GOP plan failed for lack of enough votes to push it through Congress. Well, that doesn't mean that we're out in the cold, because we do still have Obamacare for a little while. Now, there's a lot of people that are on Obamacare now that they just shut the door or close down basis will go away, and there'll be 20 million people without insurance. But that doesn't have to be, because you see, we have had a law on the books since 1985 that is a law and covers exactly what most people are in the Obama plan are looking for. Pre-existing conditions. And sometimes those cost factors are paid by the employer. Sometimes they're subsidized by the federal government. There's some circumstances surrounding it. But the point is that Cobra is an existing law. Notice I said it's an existing law. It's not an insurance program. It's a plan. And that plan allows for continuing coverage under your existing insurance program. Now, whether that happens to be Obamacare or something else really doesn't matter. Well, why haven't we used this before? Well, because we felt that we needed something with 10,000 pages to read so that nobody could read it. How can you read 10,000 pages and understand any of it when they refer you back to clause 33 on page 106 and 107 and so on and so forth? Even if you could read 10,000 pages, you probably wouldn't understand it. Well, what about the people that wrote it? I don't know that they understand it either. You see, sometimes that happens on purpose. Sometimes they don't want you to read it because of what it includes in the fine print or in other paragraphs where it takes away what they put in the first paragraph. So it's rather complex. It's not something that most people would want to attempt, not even attorneys, which, by the way, we have lots of attorneys in Congress. I would wonder, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Oh, well, they know the law. Oh, well, they know the law, then why don't they follow it? Why don't they follow it if they are attorneys and can represent us? Oh, represent us? Yeah, that's us, the people of the United States. Isn't that their function? Isn't that why we thought, well, maybe this guy's smart. Yeah, he's an attorney. He knows the ins and outs. He can protect us. But we don't get it. Well, my point is, they don't get it. And if they don't get it, we're not going to get it. So it's just a ring around the rosy type of situation from point A to point C and back around and back around and back around and tie up Congress with things that are not necessary, to try to discredit the opposition rather than trying to work together with them to promote progress. Progress? Yes, we have to have progress, because if we don't, look at what has happened over the last 20, 30 years, more specifically during the Obama administration. Have we gone forward? Well, yeah, we got a few more jobs. Well, do we? Why are there so many availability signs? Properties for lease, properties for rent, properties to buy. Why are there so many people on subsidies if everything is just going along? Well, it's not good. We have a $20 trillion deficit, and sooner or later we're going to have to own up, or the Corporation of the United States of America is going to be defunct and go bankrupt. When that happens, we're not going to be in a very good position with worldwide. They're going to look at us and say, well, if the greatest power on earth can't do it, how can we? Now, on the other hand, why can't we do it? Because someone said you can't? Well, Britain said we can't separate from them in 1700. Guess what we did? We finally got the gumption and the nerve and got fed up with everything they were laying down. Yes, it was a bloody situation, but it was necessary. Many people gave their lives in pursuit of their country. Oh, yes, it was their country, not the British Crown. Well, some of those people were from England, or from England, France, and some of the other countries. So what? When they came here, they wanted to break loose of those governments that were suppressing them. And that's why we had the war. And that's how we managed to gain our freedom. Again, it was a very costly war in times of lives and destruction. But ultimately, we were able to prevail. And out of that came the Constitution of the United States. And with a lot of thought, a lot of energy, our forefathers put together a Constitution that has been marveled around the world. Oh yes, it was 200 years ago, and it seems to be working pretty well, except for the constant interruptions and changes that the political system, through their lobbying efforts, through the money that controls them, have made changes and are trying to remove a lot of the amendments and, in fact, destroy the Constitution of America, or the United States. Well, how is that going to help our situation today? Well, it helps in that if we obey the Constitution, if we enforce the laws, then we have a chance of coming out of this, and we can do it in a relatively short period of time. Relatively short period of time. What do you mean? 2 years, 10 years, 5 years, 50 years, 20 years. A lot of us are not going to be here in 50 years, or 40, or 20. So why would we even bother with it? Well, it's simple. We believe in America. We believe that America can be great again. And we believe that the future of America lies in our hands, not our children's, because they're not educated, nor do they have the knowledge to promote their future today. So, we as good parents, as good citizens, must step up to the plate. Now, I started telling you about Cobra. and how you can become involved in Cobra. Your decision. No one's going to force you to get into it. But we do know that when Obamacare goes away, you will either have your own program in place, or there will be one to take the place of Obamacare. It's not to say that there aren't some things in Obamacare that are noteworthy, but because it's sinking, getting lower and lower in participation and higher in cost, with limited options and high deductibles, it's inevitable for it to stay longer. We're going to have to replace it. And the good part about Cobra is it's already an existing law. It was put in place by President Reagan in 1985, and it was ratified in 1986. And it is still in force today. But I want to tell you a little bit about it because there's, unless you're willing to read the 48 pages that talk about the law of Cobra, the law of Cobra doesn't necessarily explain all the benefits and qualifications and so forth that you need to know about. But you can bet on this, that it will give you continuing coverage with the same policy and the same company that you have for up to 18 months. Now I thought, well, 18 months, well, that is normal. That's the normal period of time that the coverage is there. But there's also extensions of Cobra for 24 months, and 36 months. So it's not like it has to end in 18 months, but there are certain requirements that allow you to continue with Cobra. Well, what happens when Cobra expires for you? Well, two things are going to happen. First of all, we have to find a plan that works for everybody. Something that is not going to take away their food, something that's going to allow them to survive, something that is going to be cost effective and work. So what's on the table right now is King Cobra. Well, what is King Cobra? Well, it's different from Cobra because King Cobra does not cover pre-existing conditions and or catastrophic events for the first year of membership. So let me explain that again. Suppose you had Cobra and you wanted to get into King Cobra because the costs are less, the deductibles are less, and the coverage in a lot of cases even greater. Well, if you can't get in because you're not qualified, that is to say, you haven't been in King Cobra for a year, and you already have a pre-existing condition, so you stay in Cobra. And then you say, well, wait a minute, what happens if, or when, not if, when Obamacare is decommissioned, goes away, done, finished, no more. What happens then? Well, guess what? You can get what we call not just an extension, but gap insurance to cover between the time that you need to get into Cobra, where those conditions will then be acceptable. I want to make that clear. What is gap insurance? Well, in an automobile, for example, suppose that you're upside down in the car and a couple of $1,000 upside down because you had a trade in and they just added it onto the package. And all of a sudden something happened to the car. But with gap insurance, you're going to get the full amount of money that you had in the car, including what they had to carry over. Well, that's exactly the way it works with King Cobra, gap coverage. The gap covers the period between the time you have to get out of Cobra and the time that you need to get into King Cobra at the reduced rates. So that's available. Like anything else, insurance is something that we have to pay for. What this allows you to do is to pay a monthly premium to stay in the gap insurance, but it's not expensive. It's like $30 a month, maybe $35, to have that gap insurance. Well, is it worth it? Well, it certainly is if you have a condition that pops up, a catastrophic event. Sure, because you've covered the base. Now, if you don't feel like you need it, if you're in perfect health and all those things, which I hope you have, then maybe you take a chance until you can get into King Cobra. Not just to get into King Cobra for the benefits it has, but to have that pre-existing condition covered with the gap. And I hope I made myself clear. What it does is it allows that period of time from Cobra to King Cobra, the 1 year that I was talking about where you can't get pre-existing conditions, to be covered by the gap insurance program. And if that's not clear, well, then you probably need to call me. Or you probably need to come by the station, or you can go online and find out more about it. It's pretty simple. In today's life, it's almost absolutely necessary for us to have health insurance. A typical ride in an ambulance can be $1,400, $1,500 or more. Somebody's going to have to pay for it. Either you're going to pay for it, the insurance is going to pay for it. And if you don't have coverage, you're paying for it. So sometimes we can't look at the minimal cost unless we look at the extended costs that are a possibility. Now, if we all had crystal balls, we probably wouldn't need any insurance at all, right? Well, we don't. And even though you may have had good health for a long, long time, it doesn't mean that you can't be stricken at any time. So, is it worth the extra cost of having to pay for it yourself as opposed to paying a premium that you can live with to give you the comfort of being able to go through life knowing that you are covered? Sure, if it's too expensive, you can't do it. I can't do it. Oh, there's a few people that can. Your congressman, for example. The legislative body is all provided for them. They get a free ride at your expense. Why can't you do that? Well, you can if you got enough money. That's one of the perks that the legislative branch has. Oh, they have a couple others. You see, they can't really be charged with a crime. Well, wait a minute. Aren't we all on the same page? Well, let's put it this way. We're all in the same country, but we don't have the same rules and regulations. We don't have the same opportunities that they have. No. We're on a different page. Does it have to be that way? Oh, well, they make the law, so they favor themselves, whether it's with their raises, with their insurance, with their retirement. All of those things that you have to earn and pay for are given to them free. Well, do we need them? Doesn't look like it, because they're not doing their job. They're not providing the necessities that you need. Certainly, if they do their job and they earn those quote-unquote perks, yes. That normally comes with performance. And if there is no performance, there should be no perks. And really, that's the long and the short of it. That's why some of these CEOs and executives make so much money, is because they perform. Well, okay, we're talking about CEOs. We got a great CEO right now. His name is Donald Trump, a businessman. A man who has made millions and millions and millions of dollars, who knows business, knows how to make a deal. But right now, he's being obstructed. Is it an obstruction of justice? I don't know. I believe it is. Because what is justice? Justice is doing the right thing for the people that you represent. That's why they elected you. And if you're obstructing justice, is that any different than robbing a bank? Oh, we're just robbing the people. Well, I guess I don't understand the difference. See, the banks have our money too. You rob the bank, you're getting our money. But if you take our money from Social Security, if you don't deserve what you're being paid, and if you are abusing the system, then there needs to be a change. We're hoping that's going to happen. We're hoping that the Trump administration, look, he can't do everything by himself. Impossible. Nobody can do everything by themselves. They have to have the help of people of like minds who are trying to move forward, who are trying to do the right thing for America, trying to make America great again, and we're getting tremendous resistance from the opposition. Tremendous resistance. Bringing up minor details. It's like the Trump administration is under a microscope every second of the day. So many leaks going on. So many people who are believed to be trustworthy, who are leaking information, who are spying on the administration. What if they were just helping the administration? Wouldn't we be able to get along better? Is there no such thing as trying to structure a deal with someone, some company, some country? Isn't that what we have to do? We have to sit down, we have to negotiate. Does it all have to be at a board meeting with 25 people? No. The preliminary information, you try to get boil things down to the point that you have something that is almost ready to go or just needs approval. Negotiations. Do they have to be, again, in front of the Supreme Court to negotiate? No, of course not. So when we talk about some of the things that the left is saying are subversive, we need to let them know that it's not going to be business as usual. Yet we are moving forward, and that we're not going to take everything and put it under a microscope, because we can't. We need to have the people that are running this country run it, and to do as much of the legwork, have people do as much of the legwork as possible, so that they can come together as a body and approve or disapprove of whatever the subject happens to be. And I don't care whether it's healthcare or dealing with other countries or making sure that this country is secure. If you don't do that, can we ever get this taken care of? And I would say the answer is no. It reminds me of the Great Chinese Wall, 6,000 miles long, I believe it is. 6,000, maybe it's 5,000. It doesn't matter. It took a couple of centuries, I believe, to build the whole thing. But why did they do it? They did it because there were outside influences trying to come into their country to take over, destroy, kill, maim their population. And so, as difficult and as expensive as it was, they had to do it. Can you imagine how much manpower it takes when you don't have modern equipment to lift stones that are 200, 300, 500 pounds or more and put them in place on top of hills and everything else? It was a monumental task. Now, when we look at the Chinese Wall, you say, oh, well, you know, we can do the same thing here. We can build the wall on the southern borders. It's only 2,000 miles long, so therefore it shouldn't take us as long. No, yeah, we can do that. But I want to ask you, in the Chinese Wall, is it only a wall or is it a fortress? And I'm going to tell you, it's not just a wall. It is a fortress. And along that 6,000 miles of wall were fortifications and towns that were created so that they could be close to the border to be able to protect it. And that's why it worked. So when you talk about a wall, think about the advantages of being able to have something that does exactly what they did whenever they built it. I don't know exactly how long ago it was. I know they didn't have caterpillars and other modern equipment to work with. They did everything really by hand. I would imagine even they had to chip the stone to make them fit in place and make it look right. I don't think they were worried too much about the way it looked, but they did a great job. Anyway, we have the same ability. And one of my buddies said, well, why don't we just go over to like Mexico, for example, where it seems like most of the infiltration is coming from, and show them how to build homes and develop it and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, okay, that sounds like a good idea, but who's going to pay for it? Well, the Mexican government's going to pay for it? No. And then if we pay for it, who's going to pay us back? Well, it boils down to something really simple. We've got to come up with a program that allows them to prosper and allows us to prosper as well. And the wall, the Chinese Wall, built thousands of years ago, is an example of what we can do today, and to give them prosperity on the Mexican side and prosperity on the American side, and to have that as an opportunity for new revenue, both on their part and on our part. Now, when you do that, when you make both happy, both sides happy, you've really accomplished something. You've come down to the point where now you can correct the security problem, produce the jobs and the opportunity, and do it in a way that makes sense to them and makes sense to you. Remember, Mexico has an overpopulation. They could certainly use more jobs, more opportunity. They come over here to the United States to get that done, but suppose they could do it without leaving Mexico. Oh, remarkable. How could they do that without leaving Mexico? Well, I don't know. Tijuana is a kind of an example. Yes, you have to go through the border to get there. And yes, there's a lot of slop that happens. For example, new people coming into the United States, guns and ammunition going into Mexico, all kinds of irregularities that we have to deal with, whether we want to or not. But there is a good way to get it done. And the most important thing, as far as most Americans are concerned, is to secure the borders of the United States. To secure the borders of the United States. And do it in a way that makes sense. Not just to say we're putting up a fence and we're going to have guards on the inside, the outside, and around the corners. Look, again, history can repeat itself. It always does, but only to intelligent people. So if you're one of those naysayers who say, oh, how are we going to pay for it? I say this. Think about the ways that you can pay for it. Think about creating new commerce, new products, new opportunities for America and even for Mexico, for Canada and America. For all the border areas, hey look, we live, this is 2016, no, I know it's 2017. But the issue is that we're in the 20th century, and technology is here and about that we can implement to satisfy most of these needs. Well, why haven't they done it before? Well, they haven't done it before because they haven't figured out how to pay for it. Isn't it all about money? Well, if you've listened to what I've said, if you understand the program that could take place to make those things a reality, you wouldn't be asking those questions anymore. You'd be saying, let's get the shovels out. And that's what we should be doing. We should be planning. And do those plans have to be all inclusive for 2,000 miles? Yes and no. Of course they do. But do they need to, are we going to build 2,000 miles of border without a general plan in mind? And can they be changed as you're building? And can the system we build be paying for itself as it goes? The answer to that is yes. The answer to that is it can pay for itself. Oh, over what period of time? You're asking a lot of questions, but you're not thinking. And unless you have the infrastructure built into the system, you're not going to be able to do that. But if you build the infrastructure in the right way and incorporate all the features that are necessary and productive, creating thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs and more opportunity for millions and millions of people. That's what we need to do. And I'm not speaking in a foreign language. I'm speaking to people who maybe understand. To people who understand what happens when you build a skyscraper. You've taken a piece of land, and you can't go out far enough because then you impose other issues like transportation, like utilities and other resources, water and natural gas. They'll have to be taken into consideration. And the wider the area that you have, the greater the cost. Going vertical is a solution to a lot of that, and it's the reason that we can build cheaper with less occupied space to achieve the goals that we do and have done in the past. And maybe back then that was okay, but today it's not. Today we have to conserve our energy and our resources. We have to make it so that it's convenient, so that it's affordable. And that's what we're talking about. We can pay for some of these things by the savings that are created. When we talk about savings, we're not talking about you putting in $10 a month or something like that. We're talking about real savings, where the cost or expenditure, for example, utilities, instead of being $600 a month or $60 a month, that is a saving. It's $540 worth of savings a month. Well, how can we do that? Well, this program isn't long enough for me to tell you how to get it done. Put your thinking cap on. And I noticed on the internet that the president, Donald Trump, is looking for ideas outside the box. Why is he doing that? Well, of course, it's because they don't have a cap on wisdom in the White House. There's 535 representatives there, but there's 330 million people in the United States. And certainly a portion of them can understand the need and necessity to make these things happen. However, if they can't get the word to the legislatures, if they won't listen, if they're too busy, and I'm not just talking about your constituents. You see, they have it broken down now that they don't want to talk to you unless you're a constituent. Well, if I'm in Las Vegas and a legislature in Pennsylvania doesn't want to hear because it only affects, it's not going to do any good for his constituents, but maybe his constituents don't have the same information. Is it to say that he shouldn't listen to credible information that can help with the jobs and security of the United States? He has an obligation. I've been trying to reach some of these quote-unquote elected officials by email. And guess what? They don't seem to have one. Well, why not? Are we supposed to write letters to them? Are we not allowed to send them a message to their email, even if they have their staff that has to go through them? Of course we should. How are they going to find out what's on the minds of people if they don't open the channels for people? It used to be that you could do that. But now, the very first question they ask, especially on the internet, is, what's your zip code? Are you a constituent of mine? And if the answer is no, then you don't get to submit your information. Well, what does that mean? It means that you have to deal with your senators, your congressmen, and if they don't listen, nothing happens. How do we know they'll even look at the information? We don't. And even though Donald says he wants new ideas, guess what? They forgot to put in an address that you can email to. So I'm just wondering how he's going to get the information. There are lots of people out there with brilliant ideas. Tesla was certainly a person of that stature. Brilliant ideas. Unfortunately, Tesla had been taken advantage of so many times, he finally became a recluse. That's right. He got tired of people taking advantage of him and his ideas, including Edison. But at least back then, he did get a few people to listen. Today, Donald said, I will be your voice. And I say to Donald, who's there to listen so that you can be our voice? Who are we to find that's going to take their job seriously and do as you have suggested in submitting ideas so that someone will recognize those ideas as being valid? And such is the case with healthcare. Well, everybody's scratching their head, well, how are we going to get this done? It's already done. It was done in 1985 by then President Ronald Reagan. Oh, well, it doesn't apply today. Well, yes, it does apply today. And even though there have been a couple amendments to it, it does exactly what it's stated to do and allows you the opportunity to have the insurance of your car, and the insurance of your choice, the doctor of your choice, and allows you to even go across state lines. It doesn't take anything away from the seniors. It does help them. And is it like Obamacare? No, it's not. It's not 10,000 pages. But it does the job more effectively. And Obamacare isn't going to be around for long. So do yourself a favor. Go on the internet, go to the library, look up Cobra. And then after you do that, and you want to get more information on King Cobra, the program that I think should supersede Cobra, then you need to be in touch with us. Or ask your representatives about it and have them find out what it is. Because there's no need for you to be in the dark. There's nothing to hide. But the benefits that King Cobra offer are substantial. So for today, this is Blu Laker at Radio Tribune in Las Vegas. And you can reach me at Cobra.Blu Laker, that's BLULAKER, at gmail.com. That's Blu, BLU, Blu Laker, LAKER, forget that part. Got to close for today. I'm making too many mistakes. Have a great day.